I don't see why every governmental organization, because by the way, we pay their taxes. Through taxes, we pay their salaries.
Yeah.
I don't see why every, say, school district, because we're all in or from education in some way. I don't see why every school district isn't tightening their belt and looking at places where they can cut additional staff, a bean counter that is absolutely not necessary, that doesn't deal with kids, has nothing to do with the in the classroom stuff.
Yeah.
But I got to do it. I got to do it to both of you. I'm still going to say, if I were the damn superintendent or leading the school district, I would absolve myself of that salary at least for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to say it, gentlemen.
But that
I'm
doesn't.
going to do it.
But
I'm going to do it.
We talked about appearances. That's all appearance.
That's not appearance.
That's
money, Darren.
That's appearance. You
Darren,
can't.
That's $200,000.
So a
month.
superintendent makes $200,000 a year, and he reduces his salary to $150,000 a year. You got $50,000 extra dollars to be able to do what with?
I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to hit you from the left. You ready?
But what are you going to do with you got?
I'm not saying go down to 150. I'm saying the mug should eliminate his salary at least in the foreseeable future.
Eliminate?
Well,
why should a person work for free?
I think this is more of from.
It's public service.
No,
This
is
my.
yes.
I think
No, here's my
my.
thing. Look, these superintendents and these people that are making 200 and some that make $250,000. Okay, there are people in this county right now that make $250,000 to lead a school district.
Correct.
That's
And if you're running
that
Fresno
is public service.
Got you. And if you're running Fresno Unified School District, you're underpaid.
I disagree.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think-
We're gonna disagree out of hand.
That is
We're
the
disagree out of
third
hand.
largest school
I
district
agree.
in
I
the
know.
state.
I know. But
So, $250,000.
here's the thing: you're looking at work. I'm not disagreeing with you. That is the most difficult. We'll bring that one up. Let's put it on the table. Fresno Unified, right? That one's the $250,000 job. Okay, I'm not saying that dude is not doing a big job. Obviously, it's the biggest job in this area when it comes to, education.
He has the most employees.
Okay,
He has
but
the largest
I'm
student
gonna
body.
put it this. I'm telling you what I would do. I'm just telling you point blank. Now, maybe not everybody's going to agree with me because they're going to see it your way, and they'll probably be split, right? We'll have disagreement. How much more money? How much hotter is my hot water at home by making this much more money? I can't give up a little bit for the people that I'm supposed to be working for.
Well, and that's
got
where,
you,
and
but
that's
that's-
where I'm going to go. I'm going to say, as a leader, I'm not saying give up your salary.
As a leader, you sacrifice.
But as
You
a leader,
sacrifice first.
you sacrifice and you
First.
say, okay, you know what? I myself, because I'm leading the ship, I'm going to take a right off the top 10% cut, and all of my administrators, we're all going to take 10% cut.
I'd be
Now
cutting them
I
all,
know
too.
that
I'd
that
be
is
cutting them all.
I know that is piddly, okay, but it's more of, you know what? Because now I'm going to come to looking at tightening my belt when it comes to, all right, this person, we can combine these two jobs. I have an opening over here. I'm going to move this. I'm going to fill positions from retirement and attrition. I'm going to fill all those with people within. So I'm going to do whatever I can so that people don't lose their jobs. And once I do all that, after I look at all the programs and stuff, and if I'm still in a position where my top level, we've eliminated some positions, we've moved some things around, we didn't fill this, we didn't fill that, then I can literally, with good faith, come to my staff where all of the big monies, because you know as well as I do, with employees, that's the majority of a budget.
Right.
Then I can, in good faith, say, you know what? This is what we've done, and I've transparent.
You've
encapsulated
though.
I got a different take on
I don't
that,
think it's
though.
so. You've encapsulated. Okay, what and then you go with your take because we're probably not going to be totally in agreement here. But encapsulated. Okay, I cannot personally, willingly go to my people, a people that I lead, a people that I'm in charge of, and ask them to lose their positions, lose their jobs, lose their salaries, or lose percentage of their money. I can't do that until I've done it first.
Well, that's
I
my whole
disagree.
point.
I can't do that.
disagree.
I can't do that.
Here's the scenario that I would say. You
wanna be a
superintendent.
You want to be a superintendent.
But listen, as a superintendent, you leave my salary alone. You tell me what it is you want me to get done, what needs to get done for this school district to be vibrant and sustainable financially, all of those type of things. And if I can't do it, then you get rid of my ass and get somebody in that job that can. Because even though I take a 10% cut or whatever, but I'm still going to have to eliminate jobs. I'm still going to have to move services around and those type of things.
Correct.
So what is that?
You're going to have to do that anyway.
What is that 10% reduction in my salary or anybody's salary? How does that make me a better administrator?
It's good faith.
It's leadership by example.
it's
So
good.
you ask your people to take a pay cut. You ask your people to lose their job. And then, like what he said,
you're not willing
and you
to
know
do
this
it
too, because
yourself.
I mean, look, you're in education as a board member. The overwhelming, the big number of dollars comes from employee salaries. How can you go to that group of people and say, we're going to cut this many positions, we're going to cut some counselors, we're going to cut some psychologists, we're going to cut this,
I
and then we're going to
got an answer for you because it's based off of need. Our school district has a high number of second language learner students, 35%, 40%.
Right.
So we know that we have a need in that area, so that's going to be an area that I'm going to protect. I'm going to make sure that whatever services we're providing to those students that's in that area, we're going to do that. Special ed takes care of itself because that's law.
You're making good administrative managerial decisions.
We have a
on need.
huge number. We have 11% of our population which comes out of foster care and
Correct.
the penal system. So I know that that's a huge need for us. I'm going to protect that. Okay. So that's what I mean about making good, sound decisions. Whereas in an athletic department, I'm an athlete, still involved in athletics.
We're all.
So maybe that
That's
means
gonna hurt.
because I have to move some things around, this year in my district, we do not have freshman athletics. So you get rid of freshman athletics and they all become JV players.
Yep.
Okay? Instead of
To me, those are easy
instead of
decisions.
traveling out of the area,
Exactly.
Central Unified, which
Those are easy
instead of you
decisions.
going to Sacramento
Right.
and Los Angeles, and all, not the playoffs,
Correct.
but in your preseason,
Correct.
we can't afford to take that travel, so you're going to stay here locally.
Right. That's tightening the belt.
But
is
that's what I
it
mean
is. Yeah,
about
yeah.
if you're whether you take 10% of my salary or
I'm still
not,
gonna take
if
your
a
money.
person is not making those kind of decisions, but think about it. I may be able to save the district
See, listen, I'm gonna be
10% by the decisions I'm making.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. And here's what I would say to that. I should still be able to do that, even if it's more than 10%. I should still make good decisions for my people. Now, let me bear with me. I should still make good decisions for my people, regardless of how much I pay.
So then
if
you-
I'm the leader.
So if you're $200,000, you take your $200,000. I'm going to take 10% salary reduction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take $20,000 and I'm going to put it into Central Unified's foundation, which supports other entities, other aspects of what's going on.
trust those bugs either.
But see, but okay. But I mean, but that's what I rather
let
than
me put it this way. How about this? How
reducing
about this? How about
salaries
this?
kills morale, and you're not going to get a person.
Well, no.
That's,
It
oh,
should not.
Richard, you-
Darren,
oh.
no, I disagree. I
This is
disagree.
my fourth time in the school district
then
going
I'm
through this
gonna
shit.
tell you
I'm
what,
telling you.
then clearly, if you are the leader, and I'm not going to budge on this one because this is the way I was trained, this is the way I was raised, and I've seen some of the best men in our country actively move in this direction. And this is the process thing. I was trained on this. If your morale takes a hit, if you're at the top, then you don't belong there.
Okay.
You don't belong there because you need to be self-motivated. You need to have self-morale. You're there because you're the best of the best.
It's not the morale of the leader. What I'm talking about is the morale. So
No, I know that's what you're
didn't
making my point.
Well, but
You're
didn't
making my point for me.
Doesn't our current president donate or didn't take some of his check also?
He doesn't take a salary.
He doesn't take a salary at all. How?
He makes up for another
I
one.
can cuss on here, right?
Go ahead.
Can I cuss? How in the fuck did him not taking a salary help us with the COVID response?
Yeah.
Because
How
listen,
in the fuck did him not taking a salary
that's a bad
help
example.
us?
He's a bad example.
But
he's not a leader.
He's
a business guy. He's not a leader.
He is the leader of our country.
He's not a leader.
So-
He is not taking a salary.
So
How
we'll
has
do
that
this.
helped
So
us with a
for
response?
the sake of argument, he's not the kind of leader that I think a leader is.
But I
He's
got
not.
you.
He's not.
But we are not always going to have the leader that we need to have.
And you're being facetious because you do
I'm
know.
not being
listen,
facetious.
You know he makes money. He makes 10 times more money in the other bullshit
we
he
talked
pulls.
about
Okay,
salary.
you know what?
Here,
The
listen,
salary?
listen.
I'll give up the
Here's
salary.
my whole. This is my whole point. Let me sum up my whole point. My whole point is this: if you have a leader, wherever this leader is, and they go to their employees and they say, "I need you to do
That's
X,
what I was gonna say.
X, Y, and Z," that leader better damn
With a
well
straight face.
better be able to say,
With a straight
you know
face.
what? I'm asking you to do X, Y, and Z,
Because
and I am
I've done it
also
already.
doing X, Y, and
Is
Z.
it? Because I've done
That's
it first.
that's
because
my whole
I've
point.
done it first. But how can you ask your
guys
people to
are
suffer?
But you guys are only talking about salaries. I
That
got
ain't
you.
the salary.
No, I'm just talking about anything. I'm talking.
I am getting rid of freshman athletics this year because I need that monies that are going to be expended
Right.
in that budget
Right.
to keep and maintain
It's
our
not mission
second
essential.
language learner
Exactly.
program,
It's not mission
or the
essential.
programs that we're providing to our
And I think we both
juvenile.
agree with
And
you
see,
entirely. I
those
agree with
are
you.
smart ideas, but what's happening, as you know as well as I do, okay, these people, these folks that are doing...
Then they need to go.
I agree with you.
They need
I
to
am
go. They're out. They need to
But
go.
but
Maybe
they're
there's a
not,
disconnect.
though.
I'm not saying that you don't get rid of those two. I'm
Yeah.
saying do that too.
Yeah.
I'm saying
I know.
I see get rid of extraneous,
Yeah.
non-mission essential people. What's the mission in education? Educate a child academically. Okay, so you're cutting
For
freshmen.
social, no. Oh, no. There's 3 pillars to what goes on education.
Why
Academics.
did we get? let me go on. Why did I'm going to agree with you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, eventually you can get there. But why was a free compulsory education in America started? Not for social. It wasn't. It was
Correct,
to
but that was in the
educate-
1800s.
Exactly.
Or that was 18.
My point is that's why we started the whole thing.
60s.
The
No,
idea
1860.
1860
Somewhere.
the idea of
Dude, that was over 100 years
no,
ago.
the idea of an informed electorate.
Correct.
This is going to sound ugly. The idea of an informed populace was at the center of what the founding fathers wanted going forward.
So-
to people to make good decisions on their leaders, by the way, you will not elect bad leaders because you're smart people.
So going
That's
back
why
to
education
going
started.
back to a point that
Give me your 3
SWAIN,
pillars.
going back to the mind, body, and spirit. So basically, you're talking about the academic side of it. You talk about the social, emotional components that goes
I
into
agree.
it, which is
I agree.
the wellness of and interactivity.
Right.
And then there's a social component that goes along with it, being able to work tandemly with one another. So those are the 3 pillars. But going back to a point that
Being
SWAIN,
able to operate in a society.
going back to a point that SWAIN made earlier, and I don't remember exactly how he made it, but it had to do.
I don't think I do
This
either.
can't be good.
But
This can't be
you
good.
did. But it had. So our educational system now that we're in right now is based off of what?
Yes.
It's an agrarian goods and services type of. That's what the basis of it is.
Okay.
Getting a job. What's the goal of getting out of
Okay,
education?
yeah.
It's about
So
getting a
it's-
job.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I will say this:
Those type
it
of
has
things.
Yeah.
morphed from the original purpose for why we started a free compulsory education
Correct.
in America. It has morphed.
So when did this component
It's no
that we're
longer
in right
about
now?
building the mind. It's about building a productive citizen to go fit somewhere.
It's been about 100 years that we've been
Right.
going in the educational system in this model that we're in.
right.
And going back to the point you made about the restart, we weren't necessarily talking about education, but you were talking about how society needs to restart itself. The same exact thing needs to happen with our education.
I'm with that point.
And then that goes
Right.
back to when you talked about the young people right now who are going to be displaced in the economy because they're not going to be able to have the waitresses' jobs, those type of things. There's a role for education
I agree.
in that.
I agree.
But what is going to be our new economy? What is going to be those fields? What is going to be the need that we have?
Don't pay all the
And
superintendents.
that's but if you're a superintendent worth your salt, you're going to be taking on that type of persona because a superintendent in Fresno Unified, that's a bad example. Superintendent in Clovis Unified, which is doing well, is going to be looking at things differently than Elk Grove, which is a successful school district, which is different than
talked
Long
about
Beach
that, yeah.
because of the geography that they're in. So superintendent, that's what a superintendent is paid for.
Right.
It's about what is the best system, educational system, that you can build for your stakeholders, your
Man,
students.
we're gonna have to have this
your
conversation.
parents,
We're gonna have to have this
your
separate
community.
conversation, you and I, on superintendents.
But think
'cause
about
I
this.
think they're overpaid.
Think-
Look at. You want to be a superintendent. He wants to be a superintendent. I do.
I can never
would
be.
never
a-
be- I would
I
never
can
be,
never
yeah.
be a superintendent now
I do.
because
I'm just
that-
being.
that-
I'm being like
that-
deadly honest because I've had this conversation for 30 years now.
So here-
I do believe, and here's the other thing. Here's the other reason why I really do believe they're overpaid. All right, because every time, and you've just gone through this. He's on negotiations in a school district. Okay, and the upper administration got the exact same percentage raise that the average staff member.
That's the union. That's the union though. That's the Me Too
I
clause.
know that. I know the Me
But
Too.
that's not the
that's
superintendent's
garbage.
fault.
Okay. Yes, it
That's-
is the
no, it's
superintendent's fault. You
not.
want to know why? Because if I'm a superintendent, I'm not going to look a janitor in the eye. Not that you're a janitor, but I'm not going to look a janitor and say, "Hey, homeboy, you're going to get 3% of your $40,000 a year job." and I'm going to get 3% too of my 200 something.
So take that-
exponentially, that compounds. So they're always making more and more money than everybody around them.
Got you.
That's
so
wrong.
that needs to be discussed.
That is wrong.
That needs to be taken up with the unions.
Okay,
because
and
that's a
you're right, and you're right.
negotiated component.
But the unions are not strong enough anymore.
So is that the
You know why?
superintendent's
You wanna know-
fault, or is that the union's fault?
It's the superintendent's fault for taking advantage of the situation. But here, so I'm going to stay with you. It is also the union's fault, but my wife being a union head, she can't unilaterally do that by herself.
Correct.
Okay, that requires a board and other people involved to put the hammer down on saying you guys are making too much money and it keeps growing. They're not stopping, Darren.
But raises. But okay, so what are you saying that if
3% on $250,000 is not 3% on $40,000.
But that's the same thing with our taxes. I got you. I understand all that component. So what do you? What, so,
They make too much.
So what? I just.
Okay,
we're gonna
so
be way
all I'm saying, so I'm going to wrap this up.
We're going to have this conversation later. Well, because I'm seriously, we
So
we have
all
to
I'm
have
saying
conversation.
is that for us to move forward and retool, okay, we are going to, as a society, we are going to have to look at all the different components, education, county, cities, federal, and we are going to have to do some, tightening of the belt and make some good decisions instead of just coming back and saying, hey, we're going to start cutting people and cutting salaries.
So let me.
And I'll throw you
Let-
out.
let-
No,
let me-
and
let-
so-
let me- let me
and
put
so-
this out.
and
So-
what you said.
So
and
here's
what you
one,
said.
Here's one fundamental
Think about it.
change. How about
You're going to do it anyway. Yeah.
how
Sorry.
about if the superintendent of the school?
Don't bring it up the superintendent again. I thought we were done on that mess. I was
about-
trying to throw you an olive branch
how
and saying
about if the
we need to relook at how we produce our citizen, right?
Okay.
In education. Because you brought up the point, why? It's like a goods and service. I would hope that you both agree that maybe we need to stop looking at it that way.
No, education. You can make me
Because
lose my
we're-
thought.
there it is.
So how
Okay.
about
Is it working?
How about if
I don't
the
think it's working.
superintendent of a school district was
We're
elected
going to get on this mess.
by the constituents, the people who are living in that particular geography? So now the superintendent is no longer the employee of the board, because there's a lot of corruption that goes on between that. But it's the people who he or she is supposed to serve is the reason why they're in that position. We have that in the county in the county
We do.
system and structure.
But
Maybe that's a way.
man. I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's
the
not
other-
a guarantee for a good person.
I got you. Here's the other component that goes along with that.
Because we
is-
can elect garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay,
Right. We're gonna elect garbage.
But who's responsible if you're elect garbage?
Citizens.
Right.
Which goes to the underpinning of why
so
we're
what
talking
do we do now as citizens? We blame the board. Because the board is hiring and firing the superintendents. Put that responsibility back on the people who are responsible for it, who want to see the outcome.
I'll say this. I'm not disagreeing with you again. Not disagreeing. But until we get our heads on right, and we've already pulled that out. As a society, we don't make good decisions. We lack, I'm going to say it again, we lack the strength of character, discipline, patience, and intellect and wisdom to make good decisions about who leads us. Why would I want to go down that road?
Who you didn't?
That's like turning bad for bad.
You live in Central Unified. You had no say so in Andy Alvarado becoming a superintendent. I live in Fresno Unified.
Are you sure?
I had
According
no
to people in my district.
I had no
You don't know.
input into Bob Nelson becoming
Yeah.
a superintendent.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they're responsible back to us.
Correct.
So if the onus comes back on us and we elect a bad person, it's our fault. The board then can still take care of the budgets and those type of things.
I don't think I'm
But
gonna-
that employee.
I won't disagree
Here's the
because
other-
it's not like it's working now.
Here's the other component that goes along with that. If you elect a person, then they have 4 years basically to get the job done. Right now, the other phenomenon that we've been going through for probably the last 12 or 15 years
Be
is
gone in a second.
superintendent gets in, his ass is gone, or her ass is gone
Every
in 3
time
years.
a board changes.
Yeah.
Which is every
board
2 years.
change. Yeah, but board changes, they're gone. You can't, in education, you guys know, brand new administrator coming in,
Don't pay
you.
'em.
You got a year,
pay 'em.
basically,
Yeah.
to get an understanding of what
I
the
agree.
hell is going on.
Listen, that's
I'm
about.
gonna keep
okay,
this.
I'll
I'm
tell
gonna
you
get
what,
rid of that.
That's
I'm
about
gonna
as
bring this.
close. That's about as close as I'll get to like really with you on having a little bit of mercy on the people that say they're leaders and want to be superintendents. That's about the only mercy I'm going to have on them. Is that I will generically say, whether it's the greatest superintendent that ever lived or the worst, they don't have a reasonable amount of time and stability to enact things that could be good long term.
And
I'm agreeing with you.
they become a minstrel for
How do you do that?
a majority of the board members.
How do you do that?
If it's a 7-person board, all they got to do is keep 4 happy.
Correct.
If it's a 5-person,
And
all
so
they got to do is 3.
And so what do superintendents end up doing? They end up spending more time playing the game with their board. I gotta remember this every day. I'm shuffling.
That's all they're doing is shuffling.
Listen, we're gonna move on. You and I are gonna have a conversation, and I think it'll be a good one. We got to move on. I mean, so we're low on time, and I didn't plan on spending that much, but that's why I like BSing with you guys, because we get to some things that we need to talk about, right? And this is all American stuff anyway, whether it's our area or any.
everywhere.
Because I think governmentally, education is definitely going to have to re-look at how we go about our
Have to.
business.
We
Tighten the damn belt, and start asking ourselves, what are we sending out into the world right now? I mean, that's a legitimate question. So anyway, for you guys at home, if you haven't noticed already, we are all uniformly dressed in black, and let's make this as simple as possible. I've got no equivocation whatsoever. Those of you guys that are in SuperMex Nation, in my group, or know anything about me, I'm going to be as cold, emotionless, and crystal clear as I possibly can. George Floyd in the streets, in broad daylight, murdered for all to see, and the world to see, by the way. And I think that's what's changed the dynamic, because I don't think we've ever had something like that go that viral, something like that go worldwide where everybody has seen it and everybody understands. But I was also talking for a little bit, and I don't know if you and I got in this conversation, Darren, but Ahmaud Arbery was not even a handful of months, at the beginning of this year. And I will say that young blood was hunted by 2 men, armed, hunted like an animal in broad daylight, weaponless, unarmed, and murdered.
Staged, put in their stage.
Murdered.
Because
Staged.
they orchestrated and choreographed.
Correct.
As evidenced by the 3rd guy who got arrested, who was filming it all.
Correct. And so let me go, and then I'm going to let you, obviously for the obvious reason, jump in here. Breonna Taylor, she was law enforcement. Young black girl, law enforcement, was shot and killed with a no-knock warrant. I didn't even know those things existed. To tell you the truth, I didn't even really know that. Okay, no-knock warrant, murdered in her own home. Law enforcement lady. Okay, and I can go on, and we can do that. There's a lot, right? But those are the ones that have crystallized and that are current right now. In addition to Mr. Floyd, they're definitely talking about the young guy Arbery and Breonna Taylor. And so I'm gonna, I'll do it, just like it's simple. That's wrong. And so we kind of went through this fracas, over the last number of years, because I've seen a lot of this, where Black Lives Matter, and then if you're not black or you don't like the discussion and where it's going because you want to bring focus to black people that are getting killed and murdered, usually black men, it's seen, it's done, and then we talked about, again, if you're not black or you're not minority, you're something else, you're saying, oh, well, kind of like the COVID thing, right? Well, we lose people every day to flu. They minimized, denied, prevaricated on the topic and said, well, all lives matter generically. And I think no one here will disagree that, yes, lives matter, all lives matter in general. But I'm going to put a point on it and say that this is where we're at. If you can't see that this point in time that we've not done anything about it, that it's gotten worse, that it was in broad daylight, and it was going to be swept under the rug. If the young brother wasn't videoed, who knows what the hell would happen? We don't know if anything would have happened. So I'm going to go on record and just state, SuperMex is with my black brothers and sisters, and I have no problem saying, I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. I mean, Mitt Romney, that guy's about as lily white as it gets. He's Republican, he's conservative. I mean, he was marching, and he just said it. And if you're Republican and you don't like Mitt Romney because he was against the president, then you're wrong. And I'll just say it, you are wrong. He said, he goes, why are you marching? He goes, because Black Lives Matter. The man said it. He just said it. And why? And my thing is and you and I, both of you two have had this discussion with me, and we're going to flesh that out right now to finish up our show. Why is it so damn hard to just call out without being, without the dirty pun, the ugly pun, call it a spade, right? It is what it is. You see it. Why can't you just call it out, not deny it, not make excuses for it? Because if a problem is to be solved, you must know of its existence. And knowing its existence, you must call that existence out, put it on display, not deny it, not hide from it, and then you have to do something about it. And that's where we're at. So I'm going to defer for a split second from me to you. This is the chore that we're gonna tackle tonight, because I've told friends that I wanted to discuss this. A black guy, brown guy, and a white guy, all friends. We all love each other and we have no issue. We can argue and disagree, but damn it, when we're done, we're all American. We all give a shit about our fellow people. I don't worry about that with you two, but we need to have this discussion, because I don't think it's being done in the right way by multicolors of people.
So let me go at it from a psychological standpoint. I think one of the things that's going on right now, why things have changed, is
that's what I was going to ask you. What's different?
Younger people.
Yeah.
It touches younger people.
Yep.
Younger people do not. They've read about segregation. They've seen movies about segregation. They didn't live it, nor did they have direct descendants that they could have conversations with, grandma, grandpa, great grandparents that were actually involved in segregation.
Right.
Think about this. You're a history guy. When Lincoln freed the slaves, did he do it because he was pro African at that time?
Not initially.
Or was he trying to save the Union?
Not initially. The initial was it was a states' rights issue and a splitting of the Union. So he wasn't out front saying, "Oh, I'm here to make sure that slavery is ended as a practice in America." That was an ulterior, but then it became a major issue by the time he gets to the midpoint of the war.
My point is, he didn't free slaves because of his morals.
Correct. It was not that.
It was a business decision.
It was to save the Union, and it was to fight states' rights from the South.
When was it Johnson, LBJ, signed the voter rights, all the civil rights actions? Did he sign that because of his morals? Because he morally did it because it was right for the Negro, as we were called at that time? Or did he do it because it was a good business decision for the country?
It was good politically.
Right. So what do we got going on now? I believe
What
that
do you see?
people in our generation are coming to the realization that it is better for our country as a whole to make sure that all of us are treated fairly and that we're treated morally. And the baby boomers, who are the generation that's just above us, who are the ones who have been perpetuating the segregation views and those type of things, are dying off.
Yep.
And they're being replaced by younger folks who, no, not us.
Well, I mean like
our generation screwed the pooch.
we're X.
Yeah,
we're
X and Y.
I'll push back just a second. I don't think we're done yet. I think we can still do good things.
I believe that our generation is going to be skipped. Our generation is, as far as leadership, nationally and those type of things, is going to be skipped by the generations behind us. If you look at the national voices, you've got 30-year-olds, maybe early 40s, late 20s, and you got 70, 80-year-olds.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that to be negative at all, but for me, that's what I feel. This reaction that right now to Floyd's death is different.
It's almost unilaterally mostly younger, 20s and 30s.
And it's
the meat of
it's multi-ethnic, cross-sectional.
I do like that.
LGBT, all the different, straight, gay,
All the
Subgroups.
all of the subgroups are involved and engaged in it. Here's the other thing.
You put all those subgroups together, it's a big group.
Donald Trump and what he's done in his leadership has also helped the movement.
In an ugly, backhanded way,
when
you are correct.
His response and his comments
Charlottesville?
about what's going on.
Oh.
No, not even Charlottesville. I'm talking about what's going on now with the protests.
I'm saying I got stuck on Charlottesville. I really did.
No matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, old, young, whatever, he's demonized and put all of us in the same pot. Instead of saying police, officers, and the tactics and strategies that they've been using needs to be changed and looked at, he wants to put it back on the onus back onto the people.
Yeah.
That incident what happened in Buffalo,
know.
that to me, although George Floyd, that was sickening too, but what they did to that
That old
elderly
man, that
gentleman
old dude.
was as sickening to me.
Did you see the video? It's like,
I did see the video. I haven't seen the whole. I guess there's some more after the snippet that I've seen, but that was.
I tell you what, I'm right with you because my first thought was like, that's an old man. What the hell's wrong with
and
you?
they said they lied
And they
on the
lied.
initial report and said
He's
he
an old
tripped.
man. He's an old dude, and I saw him bang his. I saw other video of his head bouncing,
I mean,
and I'm like, what the hell? But you're right. I think your larger point is when you couple all that stuff together.
you got the gassing that happened for his photo op. You know, we went after Saddam Hussein's ass because he gassed his people.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just believe that it's the younger generations, the 30-something-year-olds, and their recognition. Because remember, they're not involved in social organizations like we are.
How old was
Clubs.
that young lady that you had on your show with In Touch?
I don't know.
She can't be in
She's
her
early.
30s.
No. She's early 20s. If she's 20.
There
Well,
you
she's
go.
got. She's a third. She's a
There
third-year
you go.
student at Fresno State. So
Okay,
she's got to
there
be
you go.
19, 20,
I
21.
watched a little bit of that show. I do watch your show. I watched a little bit of your show, and I was like, that's badass. This little girl
And
legit.
she's not by herself. There's a group of them. There's like
True,
five,
true.
There's like 5, 6, 7, 8
But
of them.
I'll tell
that's
you
in
what,
that
a hell
group.
of a face and a hell of a voice to put an idea on. And I just said, like, and I'm with you. I don't want to be like totally, I don't want to give up on our age because I think we still have a role to play. I really do.
We do.
I think, I've told people like I do. I get young people motivated. Maybe they're motivated on their own, but I want to help them move. You know what I mean? I want to help them do their thing. But I do, like, with what we've seen, I think we can all uniformly agree that white, black, brown, green, everything is in these protest groups, man. It's everybody. I like that. That's America.
Are you guys betting people?
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't bet.
I'm gonna make a bet.
I don't make a
In,
superintendent salary.
in 2024 election, America will elect its first woman president.
I've been going that way for a long time. I would, at this point, I would like to, I've told people, like, it's not even whether you think a woman would be better than a guy or not. That's nothing. I would like to see, out of intellectual curiosity, how a woman would respond to the stuff that we've been dealing with.
Well, we have examples. You shared the examples
I know I did.
across the
and
world.
that's why.
I mean,
And that's why. They look at things, and I'm going to say, this is what I said on the show 2 nights ago. Jacinda Ardern and other women throughout the world, they didn't look at the virus and what they got in science and data as, how does this affect me? And, oh, what is that going to look like in a poll? They saw science and data said, our people are going to die if we don't do these things. And they did that. That's how women look at it. And the guys, well, that's not that bad. Oh, it's going to be gone in a heartbeat. Oh, it's not even going to be much. Oh, well, let me do this and we can write it out and then we'll just say that the numbers weren't that bad because more people die in car accidents. That's how guys. So I'm good. I'm good. I don't know about you or you, but I'm good with seeing a woman.
Here's my last point.
I'm
on
ready
this.
to see a woman.
Going back to that point that you made earlier. Men see life totally different than women
Absolutely.
because life does not come through us.
Absolutely. I will agree.
And I think
We're
that-
more likely to take it than save it.
I think that basic premise goes also into governing.
It does.
That there's a priority put
Yes.
on life because life has gone through that body, that woman's body, and they understand the preciousness of it. Doesn't mean they still wouldn't commit murder and that they still wouldn't
Correct.
be involved in the death
But
penalties.
as a
And those,
whole,
as a whole,
yes.
as a philosophy, is totally different than how many years we've had now as a nation? 200 and what?
We're about to hit 244.
244. Then the 244 years we've had as official nation, and the 400 or 500 years, whatever we've been here in North America as an organized body.
Right.
Totally different. And I think that's coming. I can feel it, and I think it's not going to be because of our generation. It's going to be because of the young folks that's behind us.
Well, I think to kind of piggyback on why are things like
Give me what you're seeing.
So-
I mean, in
so what I'm seeing is that I don't know, I'm going to just peel it all back. It's where people just need to be cool with each other. I know you and I have had this conversation before. I've had, different mentors in my life and my parents and all that, and it's just like you have to value life. Your philosophy in life needs to be, I'm going to do what's best, for me and my family and my community. It's all around life, and you treat people with respect. It doesn't matter where they come from, who they are, what have you. And I think you hit a good point to where generational, where you have the older generation, 40s, 50s, and 60s going through all the civil rights movements and stuff like that, which really tore our country apart. For me, I came into this world in the 69, okay, almost the 70s. And with me, I didn't see any of that stuff.
So we weren't either. Let me do that
Yeah.
real quick. I wasn't. I was right after
Yeah.
you. How about you?
66.
Yeah, okay.
So you didn't see it either.
I didn't see it, but our parents did.
Yeah, but our
And,
parents,
and where do we get our
right,
first,
and we get,
who are our first
and that's
teachers?
my point
But I was saying,
exactly.
we didn't,
Is where
physically.
I can remember being young. It was never about bagging on this or bagging on that or what have you. And I came from a very, very conservative family, and growing up, and even now,
leftist.
and even now as a teacher, it's like you treat people with respect. You don't have any bearing on where they've come from and all that stuff. And so I've always tried to say and tell people, you just got to be cool about things, and like with the stuff that's going on with law enforcement, okay? That is a crazy, crazy job to be in, okay? There's no way I would ever want to be a police officer. But there was times, and I think you can agree, as an administrator, okay, you were in crazy situations. And how you are as a person, okay, deep down, is how you react to those situations. And I know for me, I've always been kind of just even keel, what have you. The world could be burning down around me, and it's just, pretty even keel. And so I think our younger generations are more and more, their philosophy is more, this is my fellow person, this is my fellow man, this is my fellow woman, these are my neighbors, I love them, and these are my friends, and they're standing up for that. Whereas the older generation, because they had gone through, and they probably still have those scars of things that have happened. I know,
and maybe an antipathy.
I know people, and on both sides, white, black, that have gone through and that still have those scars today, and it still affects how they react or how they deal with situations. Whereas with us, we haven't, but we had a great opportunity, our generation, to, let's change some things, and let's get back that philosophy of, love your fellow man. And we didn't. I feel that our generation, like you said, we kind of skipped the beat. We just kind of were like, and whether it was good, whether it was bad. And now we have a younger generation who are really stepping up, and through peaceful protests and exercising their free rights to assemble and for free speech, they're like, we're going to step up and we're going to say something. Whereas kind of our generation, I don't know, we just kind of.
Now, here's a sum to that point. It's like, I think for us, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I grew up believing in the American dream.
Yeah.
I thought the American dream, right? I wanted to believe that.
Define it. Define what the American dream is.
The American dream is that everybody can grow up in this country, regardless of where you come from, how much money you make, how much you don't have. And bear in mind, like, I'm about as poor as it gets. And I had no father, just a mom. Right? So if I did a movie, it would be one of the ugliest movies you've ever seen with what I dealt with. And I don't make excuses, and I've never complained about it. Okay, but mine was not lovely. But I grew up because I read history, right? I love my country. I believe the American dream is that in this country, anyone can achieve and get to the highest office in the land, make the most money, and have success if you work hard enough.
Work hard.
Right. Okay, so here's where I'm going to go. That's my American dream.
So let me offer you in my existence, the American dream is that you are going to do better than your previous generation.
Correct. Yeah. No, definitely.
My grandparents
Definitely.
worked their butts off as farm laborers to make sure that my mom and my dad's generation did better than them. My parents did a lot of sacrificing to make sure that my brother and I. The first generation in the last 3 or 4 cycles that's not doing better than the previous generation is the generation of our kids.
Okay, so I'm going to go there. Okay, so this is what I'm going to give you. I will definitely say, if it weren't for my mom reinforcing that after my dad died, my mom like beat it into my head. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and this is what you have to do. And if you don't, then you're going to live a good life because you lived a clean, good, solid. In those generations, or that generation, unlike ours, we actually grew up with something. I'm not saying all of our experiences are the same, right? You're black or you're a white guy, I'm a brown guy, so it's probably a little bit different. But in general, we believed in an American dream, some American dream, whatever that is, however defined. Their generation not only does not believe in it, they know, and that's the scary part, and that's why they're in the streets. They know that it no longer exists that way. They know. So that's why I think, to your point, they're more willing to get out there and fight for free speech. And I'm saying it, fight, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but all the protests I've watched over the last 2 weeks, I have never in my lifetime seen so many young girls out on the front. I'm not talking about guys, black, brown, white. I'm talking about young girls that are getting the crap beaten out of them, getting shot by bullets, getting clubbed. Girls are doing it. And I'm saying to myself, as a whole, it's girls fighting for women's rights. It's, young brother fighting for black rights, whatever. They know that the American dream is no longer there. And we can go into a whole nother time on this, but it's like, what is Social Security? That's not going to be there. What is this? What is that? It's not going to be there. Nothing is really there because it's a shell game, to your point earlier. Big bubble, right? They know. And that's the scary thing.
I don't know if they necessarily know, but I think they feel that something is wrong.
They know something's not right.
Right?
So they know it ain't right.
So here's another. I'm always into these promptu little surveys.
I know you like to ask me questions.
So one of the other things is about our kids' generation. One of the phenomenons I've been looking at is that next generation behind them. So where my grandkids are, there's there's not as many kids there. There are a lot of kids in my children.
This millennial generation is the massive one.
They're passing on having children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford them.
Yeah, there's more and more.
Student debt or whatever.
They know.
They're waiting till later in life if they're having children. So what happens to the generation behind them? There's not going to be a whole bunch of folks there.
Depleted.
So that generation.
That's funny you say that.
So
there was a young girl, 25 years old, and I met her through some other things, and we're going to do some business together. She told me she doesn't think she wants to bring a child into this world.
My son's 27. He ain't nowhere near thinking about having kids right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, and I'm not saying good, bad, or otherwise. I'm just saying that's my observation. So
no, but it's an evaluation and an assessment on their part while they're living it.
So think about the reign of leadership that they're going to have. It's going to be extended.
It's going to be big. No, you're correct.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be a whole bunch of children like with the baby boomers.
Right.
The baby boomers had so much strength because there was so many of them.
And now they're living off that initial inertia.
Exactly.
They're literally
and
living
they're
off that.
dying off.
Yeah.
They've sucked up all the damn oxygen. And that's why I'm going to say, so our generation, and you're kind of right. I mean, we need to flesh that out one of these days on air or something. But you're right that our generation is is a bit of a pickle. Because we believed in the American dream, and we're coming to the realization at the back end that it isn't what we thought it was. I think we'll all agree on that, right?
Exactly.
So their generation, my son, yours, our kids, yours, I mean, we all have kids about the same age in their 20s, teens, etc. I'm going to say it again, and because I've been teaching this, and I've been talking to groups, they know that something's not right. There is no American dream. So you know what they're doing? Okay, so I'm going to do something because you guys didn't do shit while you sat on your ass. I'm going to do something. And what does it manifest itself in? There are loss of jobs, 40 million people out of work, a lot of them young. Where are they? They're in the streets. They're in the streets, and I don't think it's a bad thing.
By the way, student debt is getting ready to be eradicated also. That's my
probably. So let's we got a little bit left here. I mean, for the obvious and simple, right? Okay, so we're dealing with, not just race relations and shit in America. But I think the hardest, I saw something ugly on TV or it was a white guy, and he had flags, Confederate flags, and Trump banners and stuff, and clearly you know where the guy stood. He had
I saw that.
He had a mannequin on the ground.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah, I saw
mean,
that too.
why
When
did-
they were driving by. Oh yeah, yeah.
He had a mannequin
Yeah.
on the ground.
And he had his knee to the
Yeah.
back. I mean,
Just like that, and he was yelling and screaming. And
Yeah.
so I'm
I did see
gonna
that.
watch this. I'm gonna do this. So okay.
I didn't really pay attention,
So
but
for
I
the
did see
obvious
it.
things, and not because I'm black and not white, but I'm just gonna put you on the spot generically because we've already had this conversation a little bit. I know you don't have any trouble saying that's wrong,
yeah,
but you and I both have, maybe you do too, you know, non-minority friends that are having trouble. They want to like dismiss it or not talk about it. And I'm going to say it. And that's what the young people are bringing out, right? They're bringing out, you got to say something. You got to call it out. And you can't ignore it anymore. If you're not, like, I'm telling you where I'm at. You know where I'm at now because I put it on my damn logo. I'm standing with my black brothers and sisters because it's just wrong. And that's not America. But people have to be able to say it. You got to say it.
With my conservative friends that I have, and the responses I've gotten from them, they agree. No, not you. They agree that what happened to Mr. Floyd was wrong, but where the differences comes in is the why. The why part of it is where the differences come in. So I brought up an example. Here's an example. I brought up, I send out stuff on Facebook all the time. So I sent out a thing the other day because I've been going to these different protests. And I don't remember exactly how I framed it, but it was basically Fresno needs to take on the example of Ferguson.
Okay.
When Michael Brown got killed with the police officer, I think that was 2014.
That was, yeah.
2014, 2015,
5, 6
something like
years
that. At that particular time, the outcry was not only was it police that shot an unarmed black youth,
Young blood.
but it also had to do with the representation of the police department and their heavy-handedness in that area.
Correct.
I want to say 0% of the police force lived in the city of Ferguson. They all lived on the outskirts. They talked about the DA and how the DA didn't initially pursue charges against the officer for what happened and those type of things. Guess what today? Just in 6 years, they have a black male DA.
I saw that. Yeah,
And they
I did
have
see
a
that.
black, they
Right.
just elected a couple weeks ago, within the last couple weeks, a black woman mayor. So my point was, take that Michael Brown Ferguson incident
Example.
and what's going on now and the power that goes into voting when you want to make change. One of my buddies, love him dearly, been friends almost 40 years now. Darren, you picked a bad example using the Michael Brown incident to make your point.
Was it your brother?
No. One of my
His
conservative
brother's always giving him hell, man.
one of my
His brother-
conservative Mexican friends.
Yeah, but Gerald would do it just
Right.
just to do it.
My response back to him was, "Whiff, you missed my point again. Has nothing to do with Michael Brown.
no, it doesn't.
It has to do with we don't like what's going on with the
Change it.
situation.
Yeah.
It's about the change."
Yeah,
Right,
we
it's
are.
here.
He
We are.
responded again, like,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just
Whiff
deal with
number
incidents.
two. You
just
missed
dealing
it.
with incidents. That's nothing.
but that's what I'm getting from my conservative friends. It's not that they.
And he's conservative.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time. They agree that the incident that happened with George Floyd and that officer was wrong. The officer was wrong in the
Correct.
incident. It's the why it was wrong that's where the diversion
Well,
happens.
let me do this. Okay, so for obvious reasons, and then for me too, for obvious reasons, I'm going to ask you on the why, because, and I'll say, and this is why I wanted you. You know, we were going to do the show anyway, right? The half-year program for us three guys, but you know, you're a white guy, in that, you know. And I know you're a lot of different things, and I am too. I'm Portuguese. I didn't even tell you that. I'm Portuguese. I didn't even know I was Portuguese. Anyway, so I'm a lot of different
We're
things.
all a little bit of something.
At least, at least on the surface.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to say it for my audience, my listeners, because you guys, I mean, you kind of in the group. You know, I got a lot of different. I got people from all over there. I had a guy ask me from Brazil to say something about Bolsonaro. He's in my group. He thinks that I need to be talking about Brazil. We need people in Brazil saying these things, right? Talking. Anyway, so I need you to kind of put a bow on that, like to the why for what he's talking about, not from a brother, not from a minority, not from anything else, but what do you see and why? The why. Why is it wrong?
So when
It's a tough question.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
So
a lot to it.
yeah, you know, and so for me, okay, I always respect police, and I'm not saying that was a situation that didn't happen. When I look at what happened there, okay, my inclination, my first thing, and it's still that way, they killed him. End of story. Okay? And, you know, it was a black guy. Okay? And it's like, how I look at it is, I know people, they are, you have camps here, and they are putting the guy as they're calling him a martyr, and then they're not. Okay, I'm cutting away on all that, and the way I look at it, he was a human being. End of story. I didn't care what color or what have you. You don't do that to a person. It just so happened now, you know, it's a black guy, and it's happened countless times.
Correct.
You know, now you have the other, I'm not saying the other side, but you have people that come and they say, well, you know what, it happens with white people too, and it's not publicized. I get all that. You know, it just, we see a lot of that when it comes to police officers and on black people. Okay, it's wrong across the board. You know, and when I'm going back and I'm looking at this situation, I'm now hearing that this police officer and George Floyd, had prior, what have you.
They used to work together.
Yeah, they used to work together.
But they worked at the same. They worked at the same facility.
And now they're saying now that, well, you know, this police officer's always been heavy-handed, and George has had problems with whatever. You know what? I try to just peel all that stuff back, and it's like, why is this happening? You know, going back to what you said with, in essence, community policing. Okay, I'm a big fan of, you know, your police officers should live in those in the neighborhoods that you work in, and like, you know, with Fresno PD, okay. And I'm kind of thinking about this. I'm like going, okay, we have seen situations with Fresno PD heavy-handed across the board, okay, and people, you know, have different opinions or what have you on it, okay. But you look at the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, okay? How many situations have you seen where a sheriff's officer has had some type of situation like this, okay? And I was trying to like look at this and go,
you're talking about a shooting,
something like that, okay? We've seen and we haven't seen a lot with Fresno, but we have seen them, right? We have, you know.
With Fresno PD?
With Fresno PD.
There's a lot of
that's what I'm saying.
We don't know about all of them, but.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But the Fresno Police Department has a serial killer.
But I get it. I know. But with sheriffs, why? Okay. Now, going a little bit further, I look at leadership. Okay. I look at leadership between departments. Okay. I look at leadership as a whole. How your community is shaped, how your school is shaped, how your neighborhood is shaped, whatever, it's based on leadership, okay? And I look at our sheriff, who's a female, okay, and I see how, when she talks, how she presents herself, all the different things that she's doing. I look at Fresno PD, who's a male, okay, and we all have our different opinions of him, okay, good and bad, okay? But when I look at things like this and I go, you know what? Why would that police officer ever be in his mind thinking that doing that was okay? And you have a man there who's saying, I can't breathe, okay? And you've got, what, 3 others that are there, okay? And I'm not a police officer, okay? I understand, but I do understand how adrenaline and all that stuff gets going. But you got to look at what is the culture, what is the climate within that police department to have people say it's okay to do that, you know? And that's kind of how I'm looking at this whole thing, that it's do I think that police officer was a racist? I don't know. I think only he knows, okay? But what he did was completely wrong, okay? And it should not have happened. And so I always go back to the leadership part. Okay, what are the leaders of these departments? What are they telling their
What's the
officers?
culture?
So
What's
you-
the culture?
You know
What's
what the
plan-
leadership is there in Minneapolis, right?
What's
So the police chief, who's been there 2 or 3 years, fairly new, he has a Hispanic last name, but he's very dark.
Exactly.
So I don't know what
Right,
exactly his
okay.
origins is, but he's not white.
But 2 to 3 years.
Right, very new.
Okay.
And the union boss, the guy who is the president, I guess, of the police union, is an older white cop
Okay.
who had a complaint against him
Okay.
for wearing a white power or something like that symbol. And the police chief, who's in Minneapolis now, was part of the group that filed the complaint against him.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that when you talk about leadership, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Here's
It's what's acceptable.
here is the.
Well, yeah.
It's not really a turmoil, but here's how I see the situation. The Darren Miller pro.
Superintendent.
Yeah, it's funny. Darren Miller, until about 23, 24 years old, saw another black man getting killed by a white cop.
Really? Here?
No, I'm talking about the George Floyd situation.
Oh, okay.
Darren Miller, from birth to 23, 24 years old, I know I would have saw that as a black man being killed, an
Right.
innocent black man being killed by a white
Okay.
officer. Now that I've gotten to where I am now and
Uh-oh.
the conversations type of things, I saw society, a representation of the American society, killing an innocent man, taking an innocent life.
Because holistically, over time.
And I think that I'm trying because I'm still
No,
grappling
I'm asking,
with
look,
why
you're a black man.
What's different
So-
about this? And I
No,
think
it is.
what Swain said is this was wrong, not because of the ethnic or the racial components of it. It
Correct.
was
No,
wrong.
absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I think we all agree
But it
on
was
that.
also, I think people see that it's the system, the representation of America, who took that innocent person's life.
Yeah.
And so that's what needs to be corrected.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just trying to
No,
understand.
I get it. Because I'm coming to this. I never said
Understand
this
the
to you.
why.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think I said this on air a week ago. I've never been pulled over and murdered in the street. All right, I'm here, right? But I have been pulled over, and I've been fiddled with a little bit, roughed up a little bit.
You never had a gun in your face?
No, never pulled it
You
out.
never
pulled
had a
it
police officer pull a gun on you?
out. Not pulled out. No.
That's the scariest.
Okay, so now listen. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, so I haven't gotten to that. Okay, I'm brown. I'm not a black guy, and I'm not saying that matters, but maybe it does, right? Because not as bad to them, to a white guy who wants to do that. But I have been pulled over for no damn reason, and I know with all my heart that I've been, and not just once, okay, but over a lifetime. Not as much anymore or later in life, right? When I was younger, been pulled over, been put up against the car, not too nice, roughed up a little bit. Gun never came out, so no, I never dealt with that. But almost like without question, it was yes sir, no sir. Eyes went down, head went down. Didn't look at the guy in the eye. Didn't do anything because in some ways, my mom always told me, not my dad because my dad died when I was little, but my mom always told me, Mijo, when it comes to cops, this is what my mom had that talk with me. Okay, that what they say is like, African American men have to have a chat with their boys about what to expect. My mom had that talk with me.
Yep.
And I had to be uniformly in fear of the uniform because that would be the only thing that maybe prevented me from getting smoked or beat
And
up.
I
or
had,
roughed up.
and my parents had that chat with me, and I've had that chat with my kids, and it's just, but it kind of goes back to the thing of, okay, police, politicians, teachers, all that, okay. There are people in those positions that should never be there.
True.
But why haven't the leadership and the organizations, I mean, this is not something that just all of a sudden happened 2 weeks ago.
No, and that's why you hear systemic.
Systemic all the time.
Because
And
it's
it's like,
always been there.
and it's like it happens. And what do our leadership, what do our politicians, what does anybody really do about it? It's like, oh yeah, let's put Band-Aid on it and let's move on. It's like going back as as like a leader, and if I had a situation at my school, and I've had situations at my school where, you know what, there was something that went haywire with a teacher for whatever reason, okay? After addressing that situation, I looked at myself and I said, what can I do as a leader to train my folks so that if XYZ happens or whatever, so that they know and they understand exactly how to treat that situation. I do not see that with police. I don't see that.
Society.
I don't see that with society. I
What's
see
your
that
point?
we keep
To your
making the same. We keep doing the same thing over and over and over again,
And expecting the different
and
result.
expecting the difference, which is, you know, what is Einstein? I think it was Einstein. You know, that's chaos. And so, you know, now you have a group, a younger group, okay, and my kids are part of that group, okay, where they are really opening their eyes and they're taking a stand, okay.
They're
now,
not gonna take
and again, with the protests, and I know there's a lot of people that are totally against the protesting and stuff like that because of the riots and all that. That, you know what, I'm talking.
Are they against the protesting, or are they against the rioting
They're,
and looting?
they are, what
The
they're
two are.
doing is they are lumping it together instead of separating.
And that's
Because I had this, because I had this,
my conservative
right,
buddies.
because
That's
I had
entirely
because I had a
political.
conversation
That's
with this
entirely
somebody the other day, and I said, listen, you have people that are protesting within their right, and they are peaceful, and then
The first
and then
right.
and then
The
what
first.
and then what is happening after that? Then you're having people who are looking at the protest as a situation where, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to go
Right.
do X, Y, and Z. And so initially, when all this was happening, people were lumping it together. But from what I'm hearing is now, like the police forces and stuff, they're all kind of talking and they're starting to see this stuff. Why isn't that type of communication and that type of, okay, we have this situation, let's go and deal with it, let's be proactive from this point on. Why hasn't that gone into, you know, the trainings, and we continue to see this stuff? Now, again, I've never been in a situation where, you know, my life has been threatened or you know, whatever, and I pray to God that I don't, you know, but I know because of different trainings that I've had, okay, that, you know, and even from my dad, you know what, you don't go looking for shit, you know, and
You'll find it.
you will find it. And so, you know, I think that we have to kind of look at this as change multi-pronged. We can't just sit there and say, oh, you know what, we have to do X, Y, and Z with the police force. That's part of it. I think we have to look at society, and we have to start you know, building with society with more programs, social and emotional programs, to where our people that have mental health issues or what have you, that they are getting the services and that they need, and that we need to start, you know, working as a society and start changing the culture and the climate with our society as to, instead of, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to raise hell or what have you, and I'm going to go and I'm going to break into a Dodge dealership and take a $100,000 Hellcat because of the murder of George Floyd, instead of changing it to where, you know what, we need to be respectful. We need to be cool with each other, and we that is going to be a monumental paradigm shift for our country. But it's got to start, and I'm really surprised. And I'm really surprised that when these killings, okay, continue to happen, and it's like, what have we done since the last killing? Well, we put in this policy and that policy and this, and we spent here and we spent here. It's just like education.
And end result is
yeah,
it continues.
you throw shit at, you know, it's just like, well, hey, our test scores aren't getting high enough. So what do administrators do? Well, you know what? We got this brand new $1 million curriculum, and we're going to throw at it, and it doesn't. And then 2 years later, it's the same. It's the same thing when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to society.
You guys made me think about something. Remember I was coming in there, I told you about my TV.
Let's do this.
This is gonna be my party. So remember I was talking to you guys about my TV binge watching?
Yeah.
Queen of the South?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that.
It makes me think about why I'm probably so engaged in that program is about the women leadership.
Yeah.
You got a little attractive Latina running a drug cartel, who all of her underlevel, people who get things
Right.
done are all men.
Right.
And here she is, and she's having all these run-ins with all these different people.
Yeah.
The one thing that I respect about her, although she's in a criminal element, is that two things. One, she makes a decision when she gets all the information. If all the information says that decision was not right, she changes it. And
Simple, huh?
she's killing people. She's shooting people herself and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But she also has a respect for life.
She's efficient.
I don't know
Listen,
necessarily if it's
women
efficiency.
no, it's efficient because you don't do anything extra or wasted. You just do what you need to do and don't
But
do
it's
additional.
based on a set of rules. Although I don't subscribe to their rules,
But you're right. But that goes to a
but it's
system
on
and efficiency.
right on their rules, their morals, and the way that they do business. As long as you stay in that, you're good. Even there's a couple of examples in there where she got totally undone, stabbed in the back by this one white chick, and this white dude is just coming back in, totally screwed her, and a Mexican dude is in there, totally screwed her, threw her under the bus. She almost got killed for it, and now she has welcomed them back into leadership roles back in her organization. A male would never do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Never do
Well,
that.
that's what I mean
And
by
so-
efficiency. Why waste the extra if
Well,
you
it's
can
called
use them?
it's you hit the nail on the head. It's a respect for life.
Yeah,
It's a respect for life, and
even
I think
in a
and
cartel,
yeah,
you can have.
I just think that us as a society, we don't have. There's so many people that don't have a respect for life.
You can't just go on uniformly
Yeah.
killing everybody all the damn time.
I mean, you
Because
look
it's
at
it's going to return.
You look at all of the shootings, and I'm not just saying with police officers, but just the shootings. Period. Okay,
Yeah.
there is no respect for life with so many people, and we have to get that back. We have to get that back, and we have to entrench that into our organizations. I
part of who we are.
always told my teachers, I said, you know what? I don't care if you got a parent and they're MFing you all up and down. You know what? You say, you know what? This meeting's over with, and you walk
Leave,
off.
yeah.
You don't sit there and you don't be disrespectful, because I'll tell you right now, I will back you 110%, and I will take care of that parent. But if you're part of the problem, okay, your ass is mine.
Then you got something to answer
then
for
you
as
got,
well.
and so and I think that we have completely lost that across the board. I'm looking now at different reactions within stores and what have you, and people have been cooped up and all this stuff, and and people are going in the stores and they're all riled up and all this stuff, because I've been I've been in my house and all that, and totally disrespectful to cashiers and people were, what do you mean you don't have toilet paper in or whatever? Are you freaking kidding me right now? What do you mean I gotta stand six feet apart and you can't let me go into home? I was at Home Depot the other day, and it's like, okay, I gotta wear my mask. Now my own opinion on the mask is, I got my own opinions, but I'm like, okay, I gotta put on, I'm here, okay, and I'm waiting in line like I'm supposed to, because this is their rules. I'm going to their shop, and there's people and they're MFing this guy or whatever, and I look at him and I said, man, I said people are just crazy, and he goes, you know what, that happens all the time, and it just goes back to, you just got to sit and be cool, and you just got to respect people, and if we can get those two little prongs of life, things
all
would
gets
be
a little bit easier.
It all does. It
So
does get a little easier.
we're going to need to wrap.
So that's my
KP,
theory on it.
KP,
Sit and be cool.
You have the logo, right? You have my logo. Can you put that up as on the entire screen, just the logo? And we're back. There we go. All right, so we are uniform. We do abide by some rules in. This is a mask, right? I can't breathe. So if you see the logo, you guys know what that is. But these were done just recently, and I want to be 100% crystal clear, as I said at the beginning of the show, with my white and black brothers here. What we've seen is just like on the surface, as SWAIN has said, as Brother Miller has said, wrong is wrong. Let's call it out. And I want people to understand 100%, like I said, with clarity. You know where I'm at. It's right here. I can't breathe. I stand with my black brothers and sisters that have been murdered I stand with my black brothers and sisters that need to have their ability to achieve the American dream without worrying about being murdered by law enforcement, the people that we pay to protect us. I think that's about as simple as it gets. So much so that these are now going to be out. You can buy them. Like, not trying to make any money off. We're just doing the basic. But this is the mask that I'm going to wear from now on until this thing is done. I think the gentlemen have given you good points. We've talked about a lot of things. We talked about the pandemic. We've talked about the economy. Probably spent more time there. And then we've talked about relations and what we've seen in race in this country and what's going on. So you've got plenty to digest. Please share out and talk to whoever you need to talk to. The only way these things get, yeah, I know. The only way these things get done, he's taking it out. All right, I'll take mine out. Let's do this.
Hey.
All right, so.
Man, Richard.
More for
You
sure.
can't breathe, huh?
Yeah,
I can't
breathe.
Man.
But the only way these things get solved, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really simple. If you don't put them on the table, if you don't call it for what it is, then we don't get to solution. Minimizing, deflecting, lying openly about things will not solve problems. And like you just finished up with a little bit ago, Tim, we keep doing the same things and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And if we continue to do that, then we'll continue to get the same result. I really do. I don't know about you two, but I really do believe that we have reached that inflection point. I do believe some things are going to be done. And I do think that one way or the other, there's going to be some change. Some change is going to come, right? So that's where we're at. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending some time with me. As usual, at the halfway point, we'll do something somewhere down the road again. I've said this on air, and I've said it to you both. I respect who you are, and I value your opinions, both of you. Even if I don't say that all the time because I'm bad about that, but I do. So much so that I'm willing to spend a couple hours with you and talk, and discuss things that I think need to get out, into this country. So that's it for me. This will go up. You'll see this tonight. Please share out and spread it. You're not going to get a whole lot of white, black, brown guys, just unloading their guts and just being 100% honest, because we do not do lies here. All factual, all legit, and all true. So that's our show for you. Again, please share, please put out more people in the group. And if you notice, there's a lot of different colors and ethnicities in our group. We're all American before we're anything else. And I'll go to Tim's point. We're all human.
Yeah.
It's a humanity thing, right?
Just be
I mean,
cool.
remember that too.
Sit and be cool.
Yeah, not just people in this country, but people in other countries are dealing with dirty, and we're all under one big dog upstairs. So that's it. Thank you, gentlemen. Give you one of these. Wonder Twin Powers and triplets and stuff. And SuperMex, we'll see you at least, by Friday for sure. So we'll be back, and you guys have a good one.
Don't forget, turn in Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah.
8 o'clock Pacific for In Touch with the Miller Boys. This week, yesterday we had some technical difficulties, but this week we'll be talking about the 13th Amendment.
Okay. Okay, so that's that's SuperMex Networks, 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. 8 p.m. Pacific, for those of you guys, and we do have more people now in other parts, not just East Coast, but in other countries. So 8 p.m. Pacific, In Touch with Darren Miller and his star, is
Brother G.
G Money, because like if you want to say, you think I'm like disagreeing with Darren. G Money disagrees with Darren just because.
For the last 53 years.
For the last 53 years. So watch Darren as much as you can. I'll put Swainbo on the hook a little bit. Swainbo has done some education shows for us from a non-political view, just about what's best with kids. And we'll get to him. He's busy as hell. He's got like 93 jobs. But again, same thing. I do value what you do because I'm not in it anymore. And that does help our people, our audience, learn more about education and what they need to be doing with it. So that's it. None but love for everybody out there. Take care of each other. I think that's the simplest way to do it. All right?
Peace.
SuperMex is out.